The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery.
Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rachel. We have co-hosts RJ and Hunter, and we have icon rock star Jack Kays in the house.
I don't know about that. Hello.
I do. I'm so glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
We should just dive right into whatever we were.
Whatever we were talking about?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
we should have recorded all that.
I
don't know. Now that I'm under pressure, I don't know if any of the conversation will be that good.
Yeah.
Let's start. We
goes.
can get back into all that then. Let's just give us a little background on you.
Okay. My name is Jack Kays. I'm a musician. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I currently live in Washington, D.C., the home of hardcore.
Hell yeah.
And I'm 2 years sober, and I'm super stoked to be here.
Let's go. Congrats, man. What's your
Thank
sobriety
you.
date?
My sobriety date is September 12th.
Rad.
Has nothing to do with 9/11. It wasn't like I always make that joke and like sometimes it doesn't land. Yeah, you know.
Depends.
It's like man, 1 year just hit me really hard and I had to get my act together. You know, but
and it just goes crickets.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
tell that joke in Washington D.C. and
Yeah, people are like, "That's not funny."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. My dad was a firefighter, and I'm like, "Oh fuck."
Okay, so Cincinnati, Ohio, man, take us back, dude. How did we get here? Where do we start? Let's get into let's get some background on your life.
Oh shit, man. Yeah, I grew up in Cincinnati. Like my family moved there when I was in first grade. I was born in Toledo, and then I was in Minnesota for a couple years, and then like by the time I was in first grade, I was in Cincinnati. Started figuring out that I liked getting high really young, figuring out that I liked making music really young.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things kind of fed each other.
Right.
Like making music and getting high is super fun. I don't know if
Right.
you've ever done it.
I
It's
have
like
not,
awesome.
but I've heard. I've sponsored a lot of guys.
You know, it's
I
great.
feel very attached to that.
Yeah,
I used to
exactly.
freestyle.
But yeah, I started making music like super young and like always wanted to be a musician. That had so many different iterations. Like I wanted to be a drummer. I was obsessed with being in a cage and like being a drummer for a while.
Okay.
You know, like a heavy metal drummer. And then
Is that where you started? Was
yeah, my
drums?
first instrument, I started playing drums when I was like 3 years old.
You kind of
Okay.
look
Oh, wow.
like you'd be a drummer for real.
Yeah.
Like I could see you like in a fucking.
I haven't played drums in a while, but like every single time, like, you know, when we're like rehearsing for a show or something, like, and my drummer leaves the room, like I always sit behind the kit and just like fuck around for a little bit. But like, dude, drumming is hard. Like keeping time like that and like staying on a beat is really, really tough. So like I'm super out of practice, but that's like where my love started, you know?
Why did it start there? Did you have like idols or like?
No, there was just a drum kit in my basement when I was a kid. There's actually this story that my mom always tells of like me being like 3 years old and like just learning how to walk downstairs by myself. And our drum kit was in a storage room and it was like up against like a wood, like a plywood, like pushed up in the storage room. And I would go down there and I would drum. And like one day, I think I was like 3.5, 4 years old. I went down there and I drummed forever. And I came back up and my back was bleeding. And I was like 4 years old, just like,
you were up
because I was
against
up
the
against the
wall.
plywood, like,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
had like splinters and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, that's just like so characteristic of like who I am today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I get so lost in something and just like forego all pain to experience that thing.
Yeah, fuck,
So-
I
You
identify
better
with
tell that
that.
story in a song.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started taking piano lessons and like I was not good at school. My parents just like realized that I was good at music and kind of like pushed me to do that. Obviously, like they wanted me to be good at school and like got to a point like when I started teaching myself guitar in like 8th grade and my parents started like taking away my guitar or like, you know, like you can't play until you do this and this and this. And like, it was like some of the first acts of rebellion were me like kind of like not doing anything and just playing guitar and like
Got it.
yelling at my parents and getting in arguments because they wouldn't let me play the guitar and I wanted to play the guitar.
Wow.
I can't blame them, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like failing
No,
all my classes,
for
you
sure.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I did not care about school at all. And I was in theater and I was in marching band. So I was singing and getting used to being on stage and my dad is a gigging musician. So I would go to his shows and help him set up the shows and like, during their breaks, I would go up and play a couple songs by myself. So just like getting super used to what it's like to be on stage and sing into a microphone at an early age. Just like fell in love with it so young.
Yeah, so it's, you know what, I feel like it's so common for at least a lot of the people that we talk to, right? Is like this idea of like, you seem like somebody, I just identify with it, of being like super one track minded.
Yeah.
Like when I want something or I like something.
I always pride myself in being very decisive.
Yeah. I want this. I like this. Nothing else matters.
Yeah. I met my current wife when I was 14.
Okay.
And like, I've never looked at anything else.
Wow.
Yeah. Like she's the only person I've ever been with.
Yeah.
And I just, that's who I am and everything. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
I decided I wanted to be a musician and I only ever tried to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been really great for me. And it's like caused a lot of problems in my life too. You know?
For sure.
It's a gift and a curse.
Yeah. But
I'm very, very obsessive.
I think more so a gift.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
That
think
when
more so a
directed
gift.
towards the right things, it's such a gift.
Yeah.
Right.
And like once you kind of learn that, you know, it starts to pay off. Like
Right.
once you seek the right things and like if like I seek principle a lot right now, like I'm so obsessive about principle. And like being obsessive about like living a life of principle has like given me a lot of really great things. You know what I mean?
Right. Kind of like what you were saying, like you don't double book.
Yeah, I don't double book. Exactly. Like I made a fool of myself and like let down
Promised
a lot of people,
everyone
just like,
yes
you know,
to everything.
saying yes to everything. And then like, just like got really comfortable with like being like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Like, let me figure my shit out. And then I'll let you know if I can. Right. Because being double booking is like, being a double booker is just like, ew.
Yeah.
That's like icky. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
man, that guy can never show up. You know what I'm saying? I don't like being that guy.
Right. All right. So take us back, man. You're obsessed with drums.
I'm obsessed with drums.
High school
Start
era.
taking piano lessons. I get obsessed with piano.
Okay.
Start doing theater. I get obsessed with being Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And then
Did you do plays and stuff?
yeah, in high school and middle school, I was like super into theater, pretty into marching band. Like, and then I started to like, you know, I think around my sophomore year, like freshman year, I kind of got introduced to like the emo scene. And like I started seeing guys that looked like me singing on stage and writing songs about things that I understood. And I was like, oh, I think I could be a songwriter. I didn't write a good song for years, but like I was like, I think that's what I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I quit theater and band.
But do you still have some of those original songs that you wrote?
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't keep hard drives. I keep laptops.
Yeah.
So I still have my first laptop.
Oh, okay.
I have like a stack of laptops in my studio right now, like all the laptops that I've been through.
Yeah.
And like spilled root beer on, and so that one doesn't work, but the SSD is still in there and stuff like that.
You can plug in,
Yeah,
pull
exactly.
it out, access it.
Exactly.
Like a whole album of songs that you wrote originally.
Dude, I had before my first song blew up, I had 4 albums out and I took them all off and I still have all 4 of those albums.
Wow.
And they're like weird experimental hip hop, like
Yeah.
Ooh.
I almost feel like you should bring one of them back. Man.
Yeah.
You should,
I
like
think about
remix
but
it
it's
with
just
your
like,
current style and like.
dude, I like this is such a hot take, but like because my wife loves that music and she's always like, you should start a side project and be a rapper. And I'm like, the reason that didn't blow up and that it didn't work is because it wasn't good. You know, I really
babe,
believe
I
that.
understand that you
like
love
if
it.
it's, I understand that you have an attachment to that, but like it didn't work because it wasn't good. It wasn't because the marketing was bad. It wasn't because I didn't have the look yet. Like if it's good, it'll rise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the bullshit sinks and like the fat rises to the top. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, in the last I think in the last 6 months, you've came up on my feed so many times. Like before we ever.
That's good.
Yeah, they're
I like
pushing
that.
you. They're pushing you.
I like that. Yeah. Hopefully I can become one of the cogs in the machine. You know what I mean? Like part of their agenda. Sometimes I'm like, man, like the reason I'm not a what is it called? Like a staple or like a household name is because my shit's too real.
Yeah. I love that.
I'm like, I'm awake and everybody's asleep. They can't push me because then everybody would wake up.
You're like, I just got the woke followers.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
The
so
real ones.
No, that's an egotistical way to think, but you know, sometimes I let myself have that thought.
For sure.
Your sponsor is gonna call you after watching this.
Yeah.
And be like, I don't know about that part.
I
there."
don't let my sponsor partake in my career. I don't let him look at it.
Yeah, no life advice.
My
Only
sponsees don't even
spiritual
know
advice.
that I do this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great.
There's been people in the program that have recognized me, and I've like kind of gotten the vibe that they might ask me to be a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I've like been like, no.
Right.
I've actually helped them find other sponsors.
Mhm.
I don't want like this stuff to like impeach
Intertwine.
on my.
Yeah, that's such
Yeah.
an interesting topic. Actually,
You know?
man.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
such an interesting, because I've had quite a few guys that have asked me to be their sponsor because I'm like RJ, owner
Because
of
you're
a
like the man,
forest,
right?
started the bonfire meeting. Oh my God, you know what I mean? But they don't look at me as like a normal person,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
right? I'm like looked at as this other idea that's been built in their mind,
Exactly.
right? And I'm like, that really gets in the way. My current sponsee, I was super grateful. He actually didn't know who I was because he was referred by somebody else, and he found out right later. But we had already developed a relationship.
Yeah, my sponsee knows now.
Yeah, yeah.
But he
'cause they're gonna
found
have
out
to.
he found like I showed up on his TikTok.
Yeah, and he's like, what?
And
the
like
fuck?
we were reading one day and he was like you showed up on my TikTok today. And I was like, fuck. No. I was like,
yeah,
oh man. Like that sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my anonymity is blown or whatever.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it didn't end up doing anything. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yeah, and
know,
what I
he's
found
like
is-
he's like the exact opposite of my demographic. You know, he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 29-year-old gay dude. So
Hell yeah.
you know, he
Love
like doesn't
that.
care. He was like, I don't
Yeah.
know what you're doing. Like, I don't get it.
Oh, that's tight though.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
all right. So you're a theater kid.
Were you using drugs the whole time that you were doing all
Yeah.
that?
When did you start?
Yeah,
So
when
I'm
did
trying to
that
imagine
start?
like you, high school theater, piano.
I got high for the first time in 8th grade.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So middle school.
Yeah,
Before
like
you
the
go
end
into
of
high
middle school, right
Smoking
before high
weed?
school. Smoking weed.
Okay.
I got drunk for the first time, like basically as soon as I got into high school. And
Walk
like
us through that first. I always love the first.
I took an
experience.
edible the first time I got high.
Where were you?
I was
who
in
were
my
you with?
mom's basement
Okay.
with a buddy.
Playing music.
No, not playing music.
Just like, all right, let's
We
do this.
ate an edible and watched movie 43. And I don't remember that movie
Oh,
at
that's
all.
like the conspiracy.
I actually
movie,
have
right?
one memory from that night, and we were beating the shit out of each other because, like, dude,
like actually angry or like
no, like we were just like
wrestling.
We were just like wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, that was like me and my boys at like 8th grade, 9th
Yeah,
grade.
exactly. Like we were just
fuck each other
wrestling,
up.
but like hardcore shit. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's what I remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything from that night except for that, and that it was like one of the most fun nights of my life.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And like I chased that feeling for years
yeah.
after that. You know what I mean? Because I've never had that much fun getting high since then.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I've had some like fun experiences, you know, but like I've had a lot more bad ones, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I got drunk for the first time in 9th grade. Loved it. Like I've always been somebody who is like super anxious and like, you know, I was just like, I had a fucking like a deadly fear of throw up. I threw up that night so much and like it
That
didn't
first
faze
night.
me at all. Like I was like, oh my God, this is like a way to get away from all my fear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I don't think I had that conscious
Yeah.
thought, but like it clicked subconsciously that like
yeah.
I'm not afraid when I do this.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Did that realization that you're talking about right now, did that really start to like hit your mind after you worked the 12 steps? Like when I worked the 12 steps, I like realized that that fear is like the evil and corrosive thread.
100%.
And then I looked back on my life.
And like realized how defined it was by fear.
right.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
dude.
That's mind blowing when that happens. You're like,
right. It's like
holy
this thread.
I was like,
all
I
of a
thought
sudden
I was,
looking
I
back.
ain't never scared, you know?
That's
like that
why
was
we were
my,
talking about like that 4-step fear inventory before this. And like, that's like, you know, that's why I had I like nailed that into my sponsee so much and like really, really want him to like get a good fear inventory because for me, that was like such a
everything.
defining moment in my sobriety. Right.
Right.
Man, that fear is like, it's the mind killer,
Yeah.
you know, like it
Yeah.
really, really destroyed my life.
Yeah.
Fear.
Of everything.
And it's not that I don't have fear anymore. It's that my reaction to it is so different.
For
Well,
sure.
Right.
Come on.
So like,
Damn.
I'm still afraid of things. I just like don't do the same. I just don't react the same way. And that's
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
my entire life. recognizing that it's a fear. Because I didn't like you're talking about, like, you know, that first time that I drank, I didn't recognize that I liked it because I wasn't afraid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean.
Like, obviously that's why. But like in my mind, I was just like, oh my God, I feel so good right now. Yeah, I just like feel like the weight was lifted off my shoulders, you know?
Yeah.
So I grew up like, you know, I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Ohio. Like my whole family drinks, you know, like I'm not going to diagnose and do any of their inventories right now, but like, you know, they like to drink, and like I saw them growing up. We would go camping, and like, you know, everybody would get drunk and be having a way better time than I'd ever seen them have. Like everybody's in a way better mood than I'm used to them being. And like, so from an early age, I knew like
you identified it with that.
I was like, oh man, like that looks fun. You know, I used to follow my dad around when I was in like, you know, first, second grade. I used to follow my dad around and finish his beers. Like he would leave Heineken's with like a little taste at the bottom, and I would suck that down. And so like the first time I got drunk was 9th grade, but I had a lot of drinks. Like I remember one time me and my dad and my uncle and my cousin went camping, and my dad and my uncle both finished their beer. It was like halfway finished, and they handed them to me, and I think we were in 6th grade, 5th, like 7th grade, something like this. It was like half full, and they handed us their beers, and they were like, you guys can have these, like, you know, try it out. My dad believed that like if he exposed the kids to alcohol, same with my uncle, like they wouldn't go crazy in college. He was like wrong about me. It worked with my sisters, but he was so wrong about me. But I remember like he handed me that beer, and I immediately like funneled it, you know what I mean, into the back of my throat. It was like gone in a second, right? And I look at my cousin, and he's like lightly sipping it, and I look at my dad and my uncle, and they were looking at me like I just killed the family dog.
Holy shit.
And like my cousin got to have another beer that night, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I think there was like an early recognition that I was somebody who didn't have self-control, and that was like chasing something, you know? So really early on, I was chasing that feeling that I saw the elders in my life having, you know?
Right.
Yeah, but I'd like, you know, so I got drunk that first time, and I did that all through, you know, I'd show up to play rehearsal high. I was like getting drunk before after parties. Like we would do a show, and I would like figure out how to get alcohol and then get drunk and then go to the after party. And I was like the only kid in theater doing that.
Right.
You know, I found one kid in marching band that would smoke weed with me, and we smoked weed one time, and I fainted on the field, like, cause it was so hot and I was so high, like, and I just like fainted, and I was playing the saxophone, and the neck of a saxophone goes like this, and I fainted and fell forward. And it like went in the back of my throat, and
oh my God, dude!
And I remember I'm laying there, and like the staff runs out, and they're like, I remember I come to like a little bit, and I hear them like, "Do you think he's on drugs? Should we test him?" And I go, "No, no, it's hot." I'm like, "No, it's just hot," and I'm like so high. So, yeah, but like around sophomore year, I started figuring out that I wanted to be a songwriter. And also figuring out that like, you know, what I wanted to do and the like ethos of theater and marching band didn't really align. And so I quit marching band and theater, and I was like, you know, my mom made me write letters to my director or to like both of my director and my conductor about why I was doing it, because I don't know why. I still look back at that and I'm like, what the hell? But she made me write letters, and my reasoning was that like I wanted to be a solo artist with his own identity. And in marching band, you know, you're part of a group, and you guys make collective. The same steps, and like, you know, like you're nothing without the person next to you. Right. And then in theater, you follow a script and you play a part. And I didn't want to play a part. You know, I wanted to be Jack K's. So I realized that really, really young.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good exercise to write a letter, though.
Yeah, I think I actually, you know, I do think it was a good exercise. I think she just wanted to make sure that I had like a real reason. And I also think she wanted me to like not like she wanted me to really take accountability, I think.
That's what I mean. I feel like that's a piece of like getting you to own it.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, you're not just going to like take, like just drop the class. And then like never talk to this guy again. Yeah.
Well, it's like you're leaving, but you're making a commitment for why you're leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's more for you than it is for them. But like you write this letter and really put it down. Like, hey, I'm leaving because I want to be me.
And so my high school offered a class called Music Tech where they teach you how to use GarageBand.
Oh,
and then in the
So
second year, they
cool.
teach you how to use Logic, which
Wow.
is like I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
know about
yeah,
those,
yeah, yeah.
but like, so I took that and I took it really, really seriously. And I learned how to make beats. And then like,
How old are you right now?
I'm like 14, 15. Or
No,
right now,
right now.
I'm 25.
25. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. I learned how to use these programs, and like I start, staying up until 4 a.m. every single night making beats. And like a lot of nights, I would like come home from school, get high, don't do my homework, and then I like sneak into my parents' liquor cabinet at night and I like take a couple of shots and like get a buzz on.
And then, go
And
make
then I would
beats.
work, on beats, and then I would work up until I had to go to school the next morning. Like I wouldn't
Wow.
sleep. I would just like turn over and go to school, and then I would sleep through school, skip the last 2 periods and do the same thing. Like that was my junior and senior year of high school.
Wow.
Did you graduate? Did you graduate?
I
Yeah.
barely graduated.
Barely.
I
Okay.
think I graduated with a 1.6, like
Yeah.
really, really low. And I think they were
Yeah.
just trying to shuffle me out.
Yeah, let's just get them out.
And I sang at my graduation, actually.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
What'd
I
you
think-
sing?
I sang Rivers and Roads by The Head and the Heart. Do you guys know that song? One of the best songs of all time.
Well, give us a line.
Oh man, like a year from now, we'll all be gone and all our friends have moved away. And like,
I've heard this song
you
at
know that song?
graduation. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like a graduation
best
song.
song
Yeah.
of all time. It's
Yeah.
so fucking good. And like for me,
That's
song,
like a parting of ways. It's like
it's a
coming
parting of
age.
ways, and for me, it was just resonating so hard at the time because I was like one of my only friends that wasn't going to college.
Right.
All
Well,
of my friends.
How many people were in that crowd at your graduation?
My graduating class was, I think, 250 people, and like most of their friends and family. So probably like 1,000.
Were you shook to do it in front of a group like that?
No, I was really high. I didn't care.
Yeah.
You know?
Stoned?
Yeah, I was stoned.
Yeah.
I hadn't started partaking in anything other than alcohol and weed
Yeah.
yet. Basically, right after high school, me and my dad made a deal. He was like, "You can stay in our house, like you can live in the basement for a year and try this music thing out. And if it doesn't work out in a year, you got to figure something else out." And like 2 months into that, he had gotten fed up with me and kicked me out.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Why did he get fed up with you?
dude, I was like not working on music first of all.
What were you doing?
Smoking weed.
Smoking weed and
Yeah,
trying.
yeah, I'm
I
just
was
wondering,
trying
what
other
did you
things
do?
by then. Like I started
Yeah.
doing coke.
Okay.
Because
and I-
How
something
was that?
must have supplanted
I started
your
working
obsession for
I started
music.
working in restaurants
Okay.
because they made me get a job. So I started working at a restaurant.
And people were doing blow.
And
Service
people were doing
industry
everything.
norm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I just started kind of experimenting with other things. And I also had a friend die around this time, and I just like
Overdose or?
overdosed on heroin.
Wow.
And then I was working in this restaurant and just like feeling really discontent. My wife moved to DC to be at college, and we weren't talking at the time.
Were you guys dating already?
We had dated like for a year
Okay.
or for like 6 months or something like that,
Okay.
like some short, like, high school fling thing. I chased her from freshman year, and like she didn't want anything to do with me until senior year.
But now you're married.
Now we're married.
Yeah,
It
so then
worked
it's
out.
senior
Yeah.
year, 6 months, and then you guys all.
And then she
then
was
she's
like
gone again.
Yeah, and then she was gone, and all my friends moved away,
Right.
and one of my friends died, and I was just like,
Wow.
Alone.
yeah, I was just alone in my parents' basement every night.
So 2 months, like a whole lot of just
2
your whole life
months,
changes.
like like I think my dad, I was like, my room was like I disrespected their property.
Yeah.
I've had to take a lot of accountability for this because I was like, when I first like, I had so much resentment for him for years, and I was like, how could you do that to me? Because like I was in bad condition when he kicked me out.
Yeah.
But I look back on it and I'm like, dude, I was coming home drunk and high every single night. You know what I mean? Waking up and getting high in their house every morning, like smoking weed in their house. And that was like one of the only conditions they gave me, I was calling off work so often because I was, like
Too fucked up.
too fucked up or like not fucked up enough
Right.
and just like not feeling good. I wasn't working on music like I said I was going to. Like there was so many reasons that they kicked me out, but ultimately 2 months in, he kicked me out, and I moved in with a bunch of friends and kept working at a restaurant, but started selling drugs, like a lot of drugs.
What are you selling?
first weed, and then Xanax, and then, you know, whatever I can get my hands on, Percocet, Vicodin, like, honestly, like whatever I could find.
And this is where your addiction just starts to take off.
That's because I started being able to use for free. Like, you know, like, you know, you say never get high on your own supply. Like, that was not a thought in my mind. I was like, oh my God.
You were selling just to have.
I was selling just to have access. You know what I mean? You know, like I would buy 50 Xans and keep 10 for myself.
Yeah.
And then I would keep 15 for myself, and then I would keep 20 for myself.
So was Xanax like your first real
Xanax
addiction?
was like the first one where I was like, oh, like
I can't stop.
Yeah.
When did you have that realization?
Very soon. Very soon I realized, because
Did you try to stop
I would take half a bar and forget that I took half, and then I would take the other half and forget that I took that, and take a full bar and forget that I took that, and I would be gone for like 3 or 4 days. And like 3 or 4 days, it's not like, oh, I'm high for 3 or 4 days. If you've ever taken Xanax, you know,
time travel.
I would literally, dude, I would wake up and be like, what the fuck? Like, you know,
4 days later,
4 days
where's
later,
my phone?
I can't find my shoes. I can't find my phone. My car's in a Taco Bell parking lot across town. Like, I don't know how I got to where I was and how my things got to where they were. Like,
time travel.
That's so scary.
It's so scary.
Xan blackouts are so scary.
And when you're 19 years old, imagine that, you know, like I was so scared and didn't know what was happening.
But for me, like, because I was doing the same thing at the exact same age, right? And I got kicked out at like 17, or I ran away. So it was about the same. And Xanax was one of the first real things that I was doing, and I'd go into time travel, but there was a piece of it that I kind of time travel. I just it was time
it
travel,
is.
man.
No, it
but
is.
me and my friends sometimes we liked it to a degree.
Oh yeah,
there was something
amazing.
Exciting about it, because it was like we'd sit there and I'm like,
was something really, really exciting about it. It was so much fun, right?
I had all the bars, and I'm like, all right, we're each gonna take 3.
So pressed Xanax started coming out, right?
Oh, okay.
I was like at the end of the Xandemic.
The Xandemic.
Right? Did you ever heard that term?
Yes.
No. That's a Rachel term.
I use that all the time. I didn't invent it.
What is the Xandemic?
The Xandemic. You were part of the Xandemic.
Everybody was doing Xanax. It was the hot drug, you know what I mean? It was what was cool.
Yeah.
So,
but then it started getting, it was being pressed with fentanyl.
It was being pressed, and, you know, it was starting being pressed with fentanyl. And a little backstory. When I was born, my mom had an epidural, and they gave her too much fentanyl. And she overdosed on the table.
Holy shit.
on her bed. Yeah. And I was still in her, and they had to rush her to an emergency C-section, and they pulled me out.
God.
And I was overdosed on fentanyl. So I was like a fentanyl baby.
Holy shit.
You were born overdosing.
I was born overdosing. And, you know, like we were in critical care in the ICU for like a few weeks, and like my mom like was completely unconscious for this whole time, and like
so the anesthesiologist just
and we sued the hospital.
Oh, I hope so. That's
and
crazy.
You know, like it changed the way that medication is labeled in Ohio in hospitals. It was a big lawsuit, and that the money from that lawsuit paid for both of my sister's colleges, and it's paying for my brother's college right now.
Wow.
It ended up paying for me to go to culinary school. But it couldn't be used for anything other than education. My parents put it in an education fund. So like that money didn't go to like helping me at all, because, you know, like I didn't go to college. I was like, fuck that. But so I was born overdosed on fentanyl, and you know how it works with opioids. If you overdose once and you give it a time off and then you come back to it, you will almost certainly die. That's what happened to my buddy who died.
Yeah.
Like he was sober for a while, and then, you know, shot up the normal amount and died immediately.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, that's how it works. And so, you know, when fentanyl started hitting the streets and people, like, you start hearing about fentanyl in the news, my mom came to me because she knew we weren't talking very much, but she knew that I was doing drugs. And she was like, hey, like, just so you know, like,
she knew you were living
she was like,
risky.
I don't know what you're doing, but just know that if you do fentanyl, you don't have a second chance. Right. She was like, that'll be it for you. So please don't do that. And like, be careful about where you're getting.
How did that hit you?
That was scary for me.
Yeah.
Death was never a thought. I didn't think that.
You were like, I'm just having fun.
I was just having fun, taking Xanax, blacking out for a couple days,
and at
smoking
this point,
weed, getting drunk.
Music's really not a part of your life at this point.
No, I was making music at this point.
You were?
I was taking Xans and
Is
making.
this your rap era?
Yeah, I was making like SoundCloud rap.
Yeah.
You know, and like taking Xans and doing shows and like, you know, trying to be the cool guy, trying to be like the rappers that were out at the time. You know, this is 2018. So, you know, like what the scene was like at that time. It was like, you know, right around when Lil Peep died and Juice WRLD was coming up. And it was just like, that was a time where like Xanax was the cool thing. And Percocet was starting to be cool. But so once I started like trying to go buy Xanax and getting green Xanax and purple Xanax and, you know, Xanax that wasn't even like Xanax, it was like
sketchy shit. Didn't even have numbers on it.
Didn't even have numbers on it. It was just like a bar of some like muscle relaxer and something else. And I was like, this isn't me anymore. I was like, I can't be doing this. I'll die. You know? So, you know, then like, I think I like went through a little phase. This is so crazy. I like bought Molly from a guy and did that for a while, and then like it was like in a pill. And then like I tried to buy Molly from him again, and he was like, yeah, like, but this time I have like the crystal form. It's like the pure Molly. And I was like, oh, bet. Like that sounds amazing. It sounds even stronger. I found out that was meth later on.
I've had that exact
and like
exact situation.
I was on that for like a good 2 months. Like
oh really?
Every night I thought it was amazing. Like
making tons of music.
I would literally make like 6 songs in 12 hours. Like I was just moving, and then I would go to work the next day and like work the best shift of my life, come home, feel terrible. The come down on meth is so insane.
Depression.
Like you don't eat, your stomach feels like it's in a knot, and you come home and you're so depressed. And like, you know, I'm living in a trap house. It's dark. It's sad.
That's why you just don't come down.
That's why you just don't come down. So you keep doing that. Found out that was meth. Like tried to get away from that. You know what I mean? Started like Adderall and like taking other amphetamines to just try to like combat what I was doing there. But like this story is just like, you know, I would just go from one thing, and then that would dry up and become like not okay, to the next, you know, like went through a phase with perks and Vikes, and like just was like too fucking expensive, and like I didn't have the clientele to buy it. So I just ended up spending a ton of money out of my own pocket, and like had to stop doing that. And then the last thing was like alcohol, because, you know, I was working in the service industry and I had access to free alcohol every night. And that stuck for a while, and like drunk, got shit-faced every night, wake up, get shit-faced in the morning, go do my shift, keep a buzz throughout the shift, smoke as much weed as I can so that I can just make it to when I like turn over and get shit-faced at night. And then the pandemic happened, and like my drinking just got so much worse.
Really?
Yeah. And this whole time I'm making music and doing shows.
Got it. And then the show stopped.
And working 40 hours a week. And the show stopped.
Work stopped.
What
were you doing in the service industry? You were a server?
I was a line cook.
You were a line cook, okay.
Yeah, I went to culinary school.
Before or during?
So about towards the end of my Xanax era, I was living in this house. And I was living in an unfinished basement. And there was like exposed insulation, cement floors. There was no door. It just went straight to the garage. And like I was just like living in like, my bed was just in the corner of this like unfinished basement, like next to a water heater. And my parents weren't talking, and like one day my electric got shut off. My water got shut off, and I didn't have electric for like a week.
Wow.
And I was like showering in the sink at work. It was like really bad.
Wow.
And I like remember I just like couldn't.
And this is in Ohio?
This is in Ohio. I just couldn't scrape it together to like get everything back to normal.
Right.
And so I finally called my mom, and she came and she saw my living situation, and my dad came and saw it, and they were
horrified.
like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what are you doing, dude? You know what I mean? And I remember my mom took me to go get lunch. I don't think I'd eaten in like 3 days. She took me to go get lunch. And right across from the house was this culinary institute. It was like a community college that had a culinary school inside of it. And she was like, if you just do something, like if you can go to school,
we'll help.
She was like, well, you know, the money that came from that lawsuit from, you know, when I almost died when I was born, that was in an education fund. And she was like, we have this money, we can give it to you, but we can only give it to you if you go to school.
Right.
And like, if you go to school, we can pay for the school, and we can have enough money to pay rent at a new place for you.
Yeah.
And so I found a better place. It wasn't the best place. It was still like pretty run down and pretty bad, but I found a better place to live with, you know, it had heat and it had AC, and I wasn't living on cement. Like I got a new bed, you know, I had a refrigerator, like I had
living large.
I was living good. You know what I mean? And I was going to culinary school. And so after
How long was that?
culinary
A couple
school,
years?
It was just 9 months. It was a
9
9-month
months,
program.
okay.
So it was just enough time. And in culinary school, that was when I really stopped taking pills.
Okay, got it.
Because in culinary school, the first couple of classes, I showed up really high and I made an absolute fool of myself. And I really respected my chef. Like, I saw him and I just like, he just had like, he like lived by principle. You know what I mean? He cared about detail and he was like this cooler guy. He was covered in tattoos and like just like cared about things. And I like, it was like so attractive to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be like this. And I found out that like, you know, I couldn't show up like really high on painkillers or on Xanax or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So, you know, I like.
It's so interesting. Just the things I'm hearing is like you were in high school, you had a community, you had people around you.
The community
you
matters so much, man.
Right. And you had some containment in that.
Yeah.
And then you graduate, sing that song. Everyone goes in different directions.
Yeah, exactly. And I like immediately lose my community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you just
I'm
start
alone.
like coming undone. And then you get into culinary school and you've got somebody you look up to. There's some containment, some community.
Mm-hmm.
Stop taking the pills. Get really invested in something.
Get really invested in food. And like, to me, food was a necessity at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I didn't have access to a lot of the time. And when I did have access to it, it was like a Subway sandwich that I would eat for 3 days, like a foot long that I would buy for $5.
Yeah, keep in the fridge.
And keep it in the fridge and like take a couple bites every few hours. You know what I mean? So when I got to culinary school, like I started looking at food a little differently. And that was cooking was the first thing that I learned how to do to take care of myself. And to this day, it's one of the only things that I really know how to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like when I'm in a rough spot or I don't feel good, the first thing I do is figuring out a meal to cook.
Mm.
You know, what can I cook myself to make myself feel better, to show myself some love. It's how I express love to my partner today. Like, such an important part of my life. So culinary school really set me on a different path.
Yeah.
But then, you know, got out of culinary school, got the line cook job. And then that's like when my alcohol problem like really started.
Right.
Then the pandemic happened. I lost my culinary school job or my line cook job. And just like, you know, drank a lot.
Yeah.
I drank a lot in the pandemic. And I smoked a lot of weed. And I didn't have this job. I'm trying to think like how this happened. My roommate had a guitar. I picked up the guitar for the first time in 4 years. And I wrote this song called Morbid Mind. And it's my first song that like got any traction.
Really?
Wrote this song on Morbid Mind, didn't put it out for a while. I just had it sitting on my laptop. And
Is it on YouTube?
yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Hey, Josh, will you pull it up?
Yeah, what's it called?
Morbid Mind
Morbid Mind.
by Jack. I bet if you type in Morbid Mind, it's the first thing that comes up. Yeah, there it
we
is.
go.
Yeah, so I had this blonde hair.
Wow.
Wait, that's you?
Yeah, that's me. Those are my work boots.
Yeah.
The Doc Martens that I work in every day. That's my only guitar.
I can't keep writing songs about the things I left behind. I spent way too much time alone inside my morbid mind. I wanna live
Love
inside my
this.
dream, but I can't sleep tonight.
It's in Cincinnati?
Yeah, like 20 minutes north.
So it's definitely Ohio.
Yeah. Little country road.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave my all, and I'm always staying strong. I can't go back home till my name is known. No, I can't fall.
All right, so this time it's pandemic. You're
This is the
at
pandemic.
home, lost a line cook job.
Lost a line cook job. That's my only guitar. And
Okay.
if you watch till the very end of the video, I smash it and I light it on fire.
Okay.
I was like really dead. I thought this song had a really big potential, and ended up getting me signed like you know
Really?
6 months later. So this is the song that I signed the record deal that I'm on right now.
Wow.
And that started everything for me.
This song, Morbid Mind.
Yeah, it got me 100,000 followers on TikTok. Like, got people to give a shit. You know what I
Wow.
mean? It's still like my third song on Spotify. Has
Wow.
like 40 million streams, 50 million streams, something like that.
Wow. Did you do this video yourself?
No, some guy, these guys, their logo's in the corner, Soul Serum and John Buchanan. They reached down, they're like, you want to do a music video for the song? And I was like, I don't have money to pay for it. No. And they're like, we'll do it for free. So there's a free music video, changed my fucking life.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That's so
Like,
awesome.
changed my whole life. And dude, it's like it's
and
crazy
when you
thinking
blew
about
up
this.
when you blew up on TikTok, were you just uploading clips of this, or were you?
Yeah,
like,
I just
playing it?
uploaded this exact clip right here, but like cropped into a vertical.
Were you already on TikTok doing stuff?
No, the
Not
first
with
video I
music?
posted
Okay,
was this, and it got like a
Immediately.
million views.
Holy shit.
Immediately, like it was so fast, and
Yeah.
like
Wow.
overnight I had 10,000 followers. It was like so fast.
Yeah.
But like, so at the time I was trying to figure out how to make money, and like nobody was buying weed anymore because I had robbed and scammed enough people to the point where like nobody trusted me on my Snapchat anymore. Like if you were buying weed from me, you were an idiot. You know, you were gonna get see, look, smashing my only guitar.
Damn. Yeah, you were like, fuck it.
Yeah.
All or nothing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's that moment.
Look, and then that's real fire.
Wow.
You're like,
So-
this is gonna fucking work or it's not.
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Destroy it.
So, yeah.
I love that, dude. What a great scene, man.
Very, very decisive,
Damn.
right? I didn't have any vision for this music video other than the fact that I knew that I was gonna light my guitar on fire at the end.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So nobody was buying weed from me anymore. I didn't have a job. Unemployment wasn't enough to sustain what I wanted to do with alcohol and drugs and everything. So I started making jam and like canning it and selling it off my porch. And I posted in this Facebook group for this neighborhood that I was living in.
Yeah.
And it blew up in the Facebook group. And I started
Jam?
selling like homemade jam, like on toast.
Holy
And I
shit.
started
The
Wait,
jam
so
man.
where were you getting the beer? What kind of jam? Like what?
like strawberry jam, blueberry jam.
and you just go to the store and buy a bunch of blueberries and strawberries?
I was still friends with the chef from my job, and she gave me the Restaurant Depot card and would let me go and like
Wholesale.
pay. Like, yeah, I would just buy like big like frozen fruit wholesale because frozen fruit is better than for jam
Okay, got
because
it.
they pick it at peak ripeness
Okay, and then they freeze it
and then they freeze it.
immediately.
And like you're cooking it down, so it doesn't matter that it's frozen.
Yeah.
So I'm making jam, like just like sugar, lemon juice, and fruit, and I'm canning it. It stays shelf stable for 6 months. You open it, you can put it in the fridge, lasts another 6 months. It's really great product.
Yeah.
And I'm making these jars and I'm selling them. I'm making each jar for maybe 86 cents
Yeah.
cost, and I'm selling them for $5 on Facebook Marketplace.
you're
I'm
like,
selling,
this is so much better
I'm
than
selling
weed.
50 to 100 jars every 2 days.
Wow.
Shut the
Crushing
fuck
What was the
up.
name? Was it Jack's
Jack's Jam.
Jack's
And so
Jam.
if you guys have seen that, I have a festival that I put on in Cincinnati now. It's called Jack's Jam.
Oh my
My
god,
touring
multiple.
business is
Oh, I
called
love
Jack's
that.
Jam.
Dude,
But the money that I made off that it was the first time I ever made a significant amount of money. Like I had a wad of cash.
Yeah.
And I was so
Yeah,
hyped
because
on
you couldn't
it.
get high on your own supply.
I
Like,
couldn't
sure,
get high,
you-
but listen, I
Yeah.
was so hyped on that I saved it. And I used half of it to promote Morbid Mind
Okay.
and
Like
get that
buying ads. Like
doing
boosting.
Facebook ads, exactly, boosting posts and stuff. And then I used the other half to move to Washington D.C. to be with my
Wow.
girlfriend.
Wow.
And like that's
Fuck, what a
that's where
story,
like the
man.
story of sobriety really starts for me. That's where my music career starts. Like everything started with like selling jam.
So you were still using while
I was
you were
drinking and smoking weed
in the jam
in the jam era.
Okay.
Like, you know, I was probably drinking like a 6-pack or 2 a day,
yeah.
something like that. And like, you know, like drinking Old Granddad, like that fucking nasty ass whiskey.
Yeah.
Like pandemic shit, you know,
Yeah.
and just like smoking a ton of weed.
I feel like you got to bring the jam back.
I sell it at the show.
You do?
At my Cincinnati show, I sell it as merch.
When is that show?
November 29th.
You need like an online store. You need to sell jam.
Yeah, it's so
Like
hard to
just-
make though.
Oh, is it?
It's time consuming and canning it, you know what I mean? And I don't want to outsource it because then it's not the same.
Yeah.
Like the whole
And it's
point
not
is
Jack's
it's home.
Jam.
So it's really cool. We make 100 jars every year and sell it at my Cincinnati show.
Wow.
Just to kind of like, I mean, it makes good fucking money. Like,
Yeah.
it's great, you know. It's like really, really great
Yeah, the
profit
profit
margins.
margins are
It's
great.
really good. So,
Yeah.
but like that's just like that's the story, honestly. And like, you know, I signed a record deal. They gave me a ton of money. I spent an egregious amount getting high and getting drunk that first year. Tax season came around, shit my pants a little bit. I was
Oh,
like, oh
yeah.
my god,
Shit,
fuck.
Brand new.
blew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter's been through that.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit's, dude, that is scary, and I don't think people realize that.
You gotta get a good accountant.
You got to get a good accountant. I didn't have an accountant that first year.
Yeah.
I just had a big fat, like, I had, you know, like a high six figures, you know, mid to high six figures, and like, had never had more than $500 in my bank account before that, and then they just like deposited this fucking egregious sum of money into my account, and like, I had no direction, and I was like, I spent $30,000 on weed that first year.
Yeah.
You got a good accountant now, though.
I have a great accountant now. I'm also sober, so like, even if I wanted to spend all the money, I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would like, what would I do? Like,
You can
I
only
spend a
buy
lot
so
of money
many
on
berries.
vintage t-shirts. I think that's the biggest suck that I have, like, as far as money goes. But like, dude, like, you know, I talk about a bottom, right? What was my bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody talks about what their bottom was and when they were using. My bottom wasn't bed bugs and cockroaches. It wasn't the water heater next to my bed and the insulation, like the fiberglass on my sheets.
Right.
It wasn't the pandemic, drinking a 6-pack every day, 2 6-packs every day. It wasn't when my girl left me. It wasn't when all my friends went to college and I did it. It wasn't any of that. My bottom was, I told myself for years that if I signed and I made music work, I would be happy.
And you weren't.
And then, you know, I signed and I made all this money and I moved out to LA and I wanted to kill myself more than I ever had in my entire life. And I realized that my problem was so much deeper than money, than where I was living, than my situation. Like, my problem was an internal thing.
That emotional bottom. Will hit pretty
exactly.
hard.
Like, dude, that shit is tough. And like, people who haven't been through that won't understand it, you know? Like, I get a lot of people that come to me, like, especially on like an Instagram Reels or a TikTok, and it's like, this guy still sings about his struggle. Like, look at his outfit, look at his house. Like, how could he doesn't know what struggle is? And it's like, people who say that, who think that money will make them happy, have never had money before.
Right.
You know?
For sure.
So like,
You posted a video not too long ago.
I talk about it all the
this.
time.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's a really great opportunity to tell my story.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like, dude, I've had nothing. I've had it all. And, you know, right now I don't have nothing, but I don't have it all. Like, I had way more money in my account that first year than I do now. Right? Like, but I'm like so much happier, you know? I actually, like, I don't even have a fraction of the money that I had then, you know? I've like invested it really smartly. Like, most of my money isn't liquid. I've put a huge sum into this world tour that we have in this fall. So like, my account is like lower than it's been in 5 years. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I know that I'm fine. I have what I need. I'm budgeted to a T. You know what I mean? Like, I have exactly what I need to get me over to the next time that I know I'm going to make money. And it's like, I'm so much happier than I've ever been. You know what I mean? But like, I've lived in the nice house in LA, and I've been in the studio with Travis Barker, and, you know, I've had $150K in my bank account and been on tour and wearing nice clothes and like wanted to kill myself. You know, that shit doesn't matter. It never will. You can tell yourself all day that it doesn't matter, but you're fooling yourself. Like, because, you know, that feeling that you're going to have when you get it all and it doesn't fix your problem is
terrible.
That is going to ruin you.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
For sure.
And if I didn't have my wife there to get me to an AA meeting when I realized that, you know, she took me to my first meeting when I like started having those realizations and started acting that way.
What did that whole time period look like?
Fucking, we were living in LA, and
we're in LA,
in Koreatown.
Okay.
And I was high 24/7. And
was she trying to tell you to stop?
Yeah. And I had been trying to get sober.
Okay.
And I had been kind of like leading a lie. Like, my platform was about sobriety.
Got it.
And like, everything was about wellness and like, you know, having a story and coming back from it. It was all a fucking lie, right?
Right.
I went on a podcast called High Notes about sobriety, and I was high on the podcast. Like,
wow,
that shit's tough, bro.
Yeah.
That's a fucking, like, everything that I'm doing, everything that I'm living is fucking fake. You know, that's where I was.
And for a dude that's like so real. I feel
Yeah,
like.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Your whole
I
life
pride
coming up.
myself in my authenticity.
Yeah.
Right. And like
Yeah.
just like completely none of it mattered at that point. And like so
Yeah. Shadow.
I
of
just
your
ended
former
up getting
self.
to this point where it was like if she wasn't there, I totally would have killed myself. You know? And like, you know, I know that's triggering for a lot of people to hear, but like that's just the truth for me.
Right.
Like I hear a lot of people say that, and it's like people say like I'm gonna kill myself, like, and it's like such a light thing, like especially today, it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. You know, like no, I was really gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
She got me to an AA meeting, and I met my sponsor, and my life got saved.
That first meeting.
That first meeting, I met my sponsor.
You told me on the way here. How did that happen? How'd she get you there?
She like fucking put me in an Uber. We were gonna go to dinner.
Oh really?
Yeah.
She set you up.
Or you thought you were
She's,
going
I thought we were. We went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting.
to. What was that like when you walked in?
It was a
Take us-
candlelight meeting. I
that's
accepted.
nice.
I accepted
That's
it
cool.
basically immediately. Like I thought we were going to dinner. Like but basically immediately, like as soon as we got in the Uber, I realized that we weren't going to dinner. Like it came out. It wasn't like we got there and I was like, "What? We're in
Yeah, yeah.
AA." You know what I mean? I realized that like basically like as she was calling the Uber that we weren't going to dinner, and I was like, "Oh fuck! Like yeah, you're right. I should probably do this." Because we had a conversation. I wasn't drinking at the time, and my wife doesn't drink at all. She hates it. And I was like, don't you fucking hate this? I was like, doesn't life fucking suck, you know, without drinking? Like, we should just go get drunk. Like, we go to dinner all the time. We go to fancy dinners. We don't drink anything. We got all this money. We don't drink. What are we fucking doing with our lives? You know what I mean? Don't you miss getting drunk? And she was like, dude, no. I was like, don't you think about it every day? And she was like, what are you talking about?
What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Fucking psychopath.
And I was like, am I the only person that thinks like this? And she was like, yes, like you are like nobody thinks like this. You know what I mean? She was like, you're not normal. You're sick. Right. And like the fact that you want to kill yourself because like, you know, because you can't drink. Right. Like I was like ready to go.
Yeah.
But like maybe we can drink and fix it all. Right. So we went to the AA meeting and like it was a candlelight meeting on Oxford Street in LA. And I cried the whole fucking time. Like it was just
you
the
share?
heaviest. So the meeting format is so cool. It's the only time I've ever seen a format like this. They have popsicle sticks with topics,
Oh, I love it. I
when it
love.
passes around,
Yeah.
you
and they pull one, so everybody in the
Yeah.
meeting shares.
Oh,
I
that's
love
dope.
those.
And
Yeah, what a great! And she just found that online.
yeah.
Fucking perfect.
And I went
we
up
need
with
to
a
do that,
popsicle
a
stick.
podcast episode like that. Just get a fucking
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
tight.
Yeah,
You know,
it was
I don't
so cool. Like
Dude,
it was
I'm
such a cool format.
I love this story because I'm so obsessed about this idea that like I own a treatment center, right? I don't think treatment centers get people sober, right? I think
Okay.
as a treatment center owner, we create like the fertile soil for miracles to happen,
Yeah.
right? And that like that moment, your first AA meeting, it was like a miracle.
Oh my god,
right?
dude,
Like
for
you,
sure.
You walked in and it was a candlelight. Somebody who's probably got anxiety and fear and it's like, what the fuck? I'm going into an unknown situation. It's dark, it's candlelight, perfect, kind of hidden. And then you're forced to share,
Yeah.
right? It like took away all the option, the choice, the everything. And then that fucking thing like caught,
Yeah.
you know, and you're still like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah, and
sick.
like, you know, like my wife was telling me that I was like unique in my feeling. And I believed her, and like she's not wrong for saying that at all. You know,
Yeah.
and, like she was saying like compared to me, like this is not right.
Yeah, compared to normal people.
And I was like, oh my god, I'm a fucking freak. And like literally 30 minutes later, I'm in a room
meet
full
your
of people that feel exactly the way that I feel. Right?
Were you one of the last people to share? Like, were you one of the last people that the basket go to?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like in the back of the room, and I didn't. It was like the top. I forget what it was. It was an AA saying though. I think it was suit up and show up.
Yeah.
That was the topic. And I didn't fucking understand what that meant. I was like, what the fuck
You're like,
do you
this
mean?
is my first time here.
Yeah, no, I
actually.
wasn't like, this is my first time here. I was like, I went up and I was like, I don't know what this means. So I'm just going to talk about it. And I just like sobbed and like, just like kind of talked about how unhappy with my life I was and how like I should be happy, but I'm not. And how like I'm living a lie. And I was embraced for that. That's so weird.
Yeah.
You know,
That's the
I'm
fucking-
explaining to these people how much of a fucking like degenerate and piece of shit I am.
Yeah.
And they're like giving me hugs.
Yeah.
And they're like,
let's go.
and they're like, dude, we should go to a meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was like, you want me around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want me to come? And like somebody got me a big book that night. Still the big book that I read from today. More than 2 years later, because I relapsed twice before this go, you know?
Yeah.
And I met my sponsor. I asked him to be my sponsor 3 days later. We hung out last night. Like, dude, it set me up. Like, changed my life completely.
And what's that journey been like?
It sucks.
Yeah.
The first 2 months.
Yeah.
And then it, you know, like
What sucked about it? What was the thing?
just like, you know, my sponsor is super hard ass.
Mm-hmm.
He gives like really tough love, and like I really cared about his opinion of me, and he didn't care how I felt as long as I stayed sober. And just like somebody telling me like, you know, I knew I was living a lie. I knew I was a piece of shit. I knew that I had a problem. But like somebody telling you that sucks and it hurts. And like somebody telling you that like you're an egomaniac, you're selfish. Oh, you must love being a martyr. You're so judgmental. Somebody telling you those things fucking hurts, bro.
Sounds like my sponsor.
Yeah, dude. Like
Same dude
We
that got
need
me
that
sober
though.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I've like pride myself for being the exact opposite of all those things. I pride myself for being accepting, but I'm actually so judgmental.
Right.
I pride myself for being selfless, but I'm so egotistical. And like having all that torn down and then trying to build back up from that, like that's like, because at the end of the day I had no foundation for life, right? And like what you do in AA, if you work the program properly, is you like tear down what you think your life is and you build a new one.
Right.
And that's what I did. And it was so like tearing it down and starting from nothing and being a blank slate just to be molded by like these guys that like you don't really know that well seems so scary and is so hard and is so emotional. And like used to call my sponsor and I would cry and I would scream at him and I would say fuck you and like hang up the phone, and he would call me back and talk me down from the ledge and like fucking relapsing and then going to a meeting the next day and saying I got 24 hours. Like that shit sucked. It sucked so bad. And I just got to the point where I was just like, I just like surrendered to it. And I was like, man, it can't be fucking worse than where I was, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't worse than where I was.
Did you have any like preconceived ideas of what AA was before you went, and how was it
I
different?
think everybody has a preconceived idea. Like you go to a room in a gymnasium and you sit in a circle. Like, you want to know what my preconceived idea was? What's the fucking Eminem music video? Is it When I'm Gone?
Oh,
Yeah.
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 That was my idea of AA.
Yeah.
Like you go there and there's a circle of people and you rap in front of them or something like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And it's like we smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. That was like the extent of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had no idea how wrong I was. I've only been to one circle meeting in my entire time in AA. Like we don't
That's
sit
not
in
it, dude.
We don't sit in, if you're watching this and you think that we sit in a circle, we do not. You know?
Yeah.
I thought it was super culty. I mean, when I first came in, the whole God thing really threw me for a loop because I was raised atheist and I was like, I gotta be a fucking Christian. You kidding me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that's such a
so-
common.
I was
common
like, that's
struggle.
classic. Like,
Yeah.
trying to poke holes in it however I could.
Yeah.
What would you say to people that are struggling with like going to meetings because they have that like preconceived idea of what it is? What wisdom could you give them?
Like if they think it's like a Christian program.
Yeah, or if they just have some kind of like idea of why it's not going to work or why it's not going to fit them.
Why do you think you're unique? Like that was what was said to me and that's what worked on me. Like, why do you think that you're special? That might not work right away.
Yeah.
It might actually push them
Depending
to
on the person.
They might actually drink the night like that night if they hear me say that to them. But like that's the kind of like the thing that I think about AA that is so impactful is like AA and like the words of these programs, like you hear things that might not like resonate with you immediately, but they'll ring in the back of your head while you're fucking up. You know what I mean? And like if you say, why do you think you're unique? that's like, it just like stays in the back of my head. Like, why do I think I'm unique? You know, it's because I'm a fucking egomaniac, right? Like, I think I'm so special and I'm so different, and that like, oh, maybe this program that's worked on hundreds of thousands of
work for
people
me.
won't work for me.
Yeah.
even though I identify with everything. And then I guess like the only other thing I would say that's maybe a little more constructive is like, maybe bring a highlighter instead of a red pen. You know, stop trying to identify out and figuring out like how to identify in. And that's like, you know, that's when it's going to start working for you.
Right.
What's your higher power today?
The universe. Like, I mean, do you want me to like walk it down for you and explain to you how I think it works?
Yeah.
Like
especially from like a perspective of like grew up atheist,
and
then
you know,
come into a program that's like,
first off, I think a
God.
higher power is something that you choose to believe. Right? I don't think anybody baseline just like believes in a higher power, and like nobody fucking knows.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
How ignorant of you to say you know this and you know
it's
that.
egotistical.
Right? It's egotistical. I don't know.
Sure.
I choose to believe what I believe, right? And every day I wake up and I make a choice to like believe in something greater than me.
Yeah.
What I believe is that like the universe is like a choose your own destiny book. And you know, like you have two decisions on a page, and if you make one decision you flip to the next one, and if you make the other decision you flip to page 64, you know. And like there's so many different
No, I
paths.
love
in my
that. I'm
life.
literally
Like,
picturing that in my
exactly,
brain
you
right
know,
now.
I could choose to go to a liquor store and like pick up right after this, right? And get drunk and go back to my hotel room and just like fucking have a ball, you know? And that would send me down a completely different path than the one that I'm on right now. Right. And it's like, I choose to believe that the highest path for me to be on is a path of sobriety, and a path of the program, and a path where I'm of service to my fellows, a path where I'm authentic to the public eye, a path where I write music about things that are real to me, right? That's, I think, the ideal path. That's the path that I think aligns with my higher power's will for me, right? Doesn't mean that the other paths don't exist. And the reason that I like this idea is because even if I go make that choice and I go down this path, right, there's a web of choices that I can make that are going to bring me back to where I'm at right now. And I can continue to go down that path. So no matter how bad, no matter how far down the ladder I slide, I can always make a couple choices that'll bring me back to my highest path.
Right.
That's my higher power.
Yeah, that's very in line.
Damn, Jack.
And then I think there's like, I think there's a big thing, you know, you pray a lot in the rooms, right? What am I praying to? I'm asking all these questions. I'm asking for these things. How do I know? What's the voice? What does God sound like? Does he come in? Jack, you must. Like,
Jack,
Fulfill
you must go
your
to the
destiny.
bonfire meeting.
you
Yeah.
must go to the bonfire meeting tonight.
Bring your guitar.
Bring your guitar. No, you know, for me, my higher power is like, what's my gut feeling, right? If I go to the liquor store after this and I pray, God, should I go drink right now? I'm going to get a gut feeling that tells me no.
Belly barometer.
Right? I'm going to have my own ideas for sure about what I should do. But like something deep inside of me, my gut is going to be like, this is not a good fucking idea. And that's God to me. I think that is my higher power. That's God, whatever you want to think that is. You know, that's something that's trying to keep me on my highest path.
Right.
So I think the more time, I've had gut feelings in the past and gone against them and ended up in a pretty shitty situation. And I think like the longer you listen to your gut and the more and more times you make the decision based on what your gut tells you, the louder that voice gets, the louder that feeling gets, the more intense it gets, the more correct it gets. You know what I mean? The more defined it gets, the more it happens, the more instantaneous it is. Like you practice that connection, you build that relationship, and it starts to be just more present in your life.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life today, at least, you know?
Is addiction a disease?
I think so. I think most people think so. You know? I think there's a lot of people that don't want to believe that it is, or that don't think it is. I choose to believe that it is.
Right.
You know? The way that it affected me I was a sick person, right? Like, that guy's a sick fuck. What do you think you mean when you say that? You know what I mean? People use that about so many things, like, but then they'd be like, oh no, he doesn't have a disease. He's just a sick fuck. Like, what does sick mean, dude?
Right.
You know?
Right.
It kills people, right? It turns me into a person that I'm not. You know, it makes me do things that don't align with my moral fiber, who I think I am. Changes me, like, to my core when I use drugs.
Right.
You know, and like something happens inside of me when I get high that I cannot control. I think it's a disease.
The beast is unleashed.
Most diseases have some form of treatment. So if addiction is a disease, then what is the treatment for addiction?
The 12 steps. You know, the fellowship,
Connection.
the service, and the steps, right? Those are the treatment. It's worked for people for 100 years now.
Right.
Like, worked for me. It worked for you guys. It worked for my sponsor. It worked for plenty of people that listen to my music. Like, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in a higher power, you know what I mean? And you're somebody that believes in science and you're somebody that believes in proof, then go to a fucking AA meeting
And see the proof.
and listen to the see the proof, dude.
Right.
All of the people who have worked this program and who have
Well,
had it
that's
worked
like
for
in
them.
the doctor's opinion, man.
It's in the doctor's opinion,
Right?
dude.
I mean, the doctor is like, go and see.
It's the proof, you know? That's the scientific method. Cold cut, you know? Go to a meeting and see that and then deny it. You'll look like an idiot, right? How bold of you to assume that it doesn't work for somebody else, or that it won't work for you if it's going to work for somebody else.
Right.
How bold of you to say, I know that there's not a higher power, when so many people have had their lives saved by one.
Right.
Damn.
Let's go.
That was good, man. That was good. Fully warmed.
You know,
up.
I see
Spit
like
fire.
that video you were talking about where I was like telling people, where I was like kind of telling people off about my current situation or whatever, like kind of went off, you know what I mean? Dude, I'm the proof. You're the proof.
Yeah.
I live in a beautiful apartment in DC with a spiral staircase and a nice leather couch, and I play a nice guitar, and I go on tour, and I got a hot wife and a dog and a cat, and my life is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Right? You know? You might not know like what happened before, and I don't judge anybody for not knowing how it was, you know what I mean? But like, take my fucking word for it. How it was terrible. It was unlivable. It was unsustainable. It was unmanageable.
Right.
And the life that I live now is anything but, right? So like, that's the proof.
Right.
I'm an example. I like to think of myself as one.
Yeah.
Come on, Jack. Sheesh.
Yeah.
On
man.
fire.
It's good shit, dude. I love your music.
Thank you.
It's so
I appreciate
good.
it.
It's
I
so
love what you
good.
guys do. Like, it's just so cool. The recovery center. Like, I mean, I was talking to the kid that drove me from the airport yesterday. Like, you guys change lives, you know, exposing people to like what this program is. You know what I mean? Giving them a guideline to work it. It's hard to do it by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. You need a community. You need people who have done it. Like,
Well,
what you guys do is amazing.
The thing about us as well is like the 12 steps aren't recommended. It's mandatory. If you're at Oak Forest, you're working.
That's what
with
he
us.
was telling me.
Yeah.
Like, you guys take away the phone.
Oh yeah, everything.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know,
We strip everything away, and
you
Well, I
take
think-
everything away so that you can build it back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
it kind of like your experience going through the step. You know what I mean? The first couple months, it was
Mm-hmm.
like completely rip everything away, and it's gonna suck, and it's gonna be painful.
Yeah.
You know, but I think we do a really good job at like, you've been around the rooms, right? It's like, I think we do a good job at like, somebody comes in, like Chris, we see who he is. I've known Chris for a little while. He's had a couple tours, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like in and out.
Yeah. He was telling me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and I will try to help curate, like, you got to talk to this dude
Yeah, exactly.
as a sponsor. Right.
Mhm.
And then if this dude's your sponsor and you're still struggling, like we know guys like Peter and like all these people in our community, they're not a part of the center, right? That will pull on to come and try to, you know, create some shift or change or
Yeah.
inspiration, or like you talk to that sponsor, that dude, and you're like, oh my God. Or like the chef at the culinary school,
Yeah.
right? Like that hit.
Yeah. It
You
was
know
like,
what I
I
mean?
walked in and I was like, oh, this is a guy that has something that I want.
Right.
I didn't feel that feeling again until I came to AA.
Right.
right?
Yeah. And it's moments like that. You know what I mean? Like
That define you, right?
Yeah. And
my
I feel
sponsor
like
and I were talking about last night. He was like, I don't care why people come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
like, come in because you heard that there's hot chicks at the meeting.
For sure.
Right? Like,
That's my whole thing.
doesn't matter how
Doesn't
you
matter
get
what
here,
gets
right?
you in there,
Because
right?
maybe that'll tie you over until the point where you can find a real reason
that
to
a
stay.
fucking
Yeah.
miracle happens.
Exactly.
Right? It's just there's miracles, man. It's when the shift happens.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, and there's so many along the way, but they're fucking miraculous.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, man, I hate the whole, you know, you have to do this for yourself or who you doing it for, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, did I come in for myself? I don't know, man. My life
Dude,
was
I did it because
shit.
my wife was going to leave me and I was
Yeah.
running out of money.
That's what I'm saying. But that's like, it doesn't fucking matter.
It didn't matter, yeah.
Whatever brings you to the point of getting there so you can hear something,
Yeah.
you know?
And then like eventually your motives will change.
Right. Especially if you actually get into the work,
Yeah.
right? If you get into the work, it'll happen.
Find a
It's
good
like-
sponsor.
Right. And then you sit there and you do a fist step.
The
you know?
fifth step, dude.
And you're just like, fuck.
I said
you
things
know?
in my fifth step that that I never said out loud.
Right.
You know, things that I had done.
But how freeing is that?
Oh my god!
Mm.
Like the way.
Same. I held on to so much shit
I
that I
know-
was going to the
Yeah.
grave.
Exactly. I know a lot of
with.
people whose fifth steps weren't like that, and I think that's fine. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of people that weren't as secretive,
Mhm.
but like I just like I had
You have
dark
double
secrets.
double
same.
life.
You know,
and-
double
Same.
life.
Yeah.
Like I'd lived a lie.
And that keeps you so sick.
That keeps you so sick, and like that was the first. That was like I think like one of the first like aha moments I had was when I finally admitted like stealing from my little brother's safe.
I stole my
going
little
to-
brother's quarter collection, state quarter collection.
Yeah, dude, I stole my little brother's
Fucked.
birthday money every year for a while.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Where did it go?" You know, I'd be like,
Yeah.
"You probably spent it, idiot."
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Do you want me to help you look for it?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was living in that crack house, I used to like go to my parents' house while I knew they were gone. Like my dad would be gigging, and I would like open up the garage and I would like go in their house and like search for cash.
Yeah.
They wouldn't see me for months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would be going to their house and like
Yeah,
taking
pulling
money.
anything you can.
Yeah.
How was making
What was it like?
amends?
Oh, I was about to ask that,
It's where
about
you-
amends.
Yeah,
I
how
made
was the amends on
I
that?
paid my parents back. You know, I tried to calculate how much money. I
Yeah.
don't know if I gave them more or less, but like, you know, I gave them a lot of cash. My mom tried to deny it. My dad took it immediately.
Yeah.
My mom,
We
my
love
mom was like,
dads,
"You
man.
can't give it to me. You
Yeah.
can't give me that." And my dad was
Yeah.
like, "The fuck are you talking about?" And I'm like,
I can't give it to
yeah,
me.
exactly.
I've been supporting you for years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He was like, "What the fuck?" You know, they had no idea I was stealing from them. You know, like they didn't know how bad it got.
Yeah.
You know, once they kicked me out, I disconnected myself from them.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm done with you guys. Yeah. You guys aren't gonna know if I'm doing good, and you're not gonna know if I'm doing
Yeah.
bad. Like, my amends with them was like really tough and like really emotional and really cathartic. And it changed the nature of our relationship forever.
Right.
And now like I'm really, really good friends with them, and I'm lucky to like have the relationship that I have with them.
What do they think about your music career now and you being a fucking superstar?
Well, my dad's a musician, you know what I mean?
Right.
So they're super proud.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And you know, they come to a lot of shows. They love the show. They're very supportive, you know. I think they're really proud of me for doing something. I mean, like they didn't think it was possible. They thought it was like such a joke for a long time, you know what I mean? And I did it by like I found a manager by myself, found a lawyer by myself, started an LLC by myself, started an incorporation by myself, and then started another LLC by myself, got signed to a record deal by myself, wrote and produced songs by myself, put out an album by myself, like, you know?
Yeah.
I think they're proud.
yeah.
I like to think they are, you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I'm
They
sure
say
I'm
they
sure
they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you're doing an international tour?
Yeah, we're doing a world tour and like starting in January.
Oh,
where you
that's
going?
so exciting.
Australia, Europe, the UK, North America, like not South America and Asia yet. I don't think they care about punk music there, but maybe one day.
Do you have a large like overseas fan
Yeah,
base?
I have a
Where's
really
your
big fan
biggest?
base in like Germany. Germany is my second biggest country.
I feel like the
So-
UK, you're like spot on for the UK.
Yeah, the
as
UK is
well.
gonna fuck with it. Germany, like some of those shows are like we've been announced for like a week or two. Those shows are like already almost sold out. Like some shows on like Paris is already almost sold out. They don't even speak English there.
How fucking cool is that?
So
Can we
fucking crazy,
that's-
honestly.
is it- and this
Pretty
is your
dope.
first
You
like
know?
international
Yeah,
tour?
Melbourne is almost sold out. Like,
Wow.
it's
Oh, Melbourne's
really-
gonna be dope.
It's gonna be
it's
so
gonna be
sick, dude.
fire.
Like,
have you been there?
no, I've never been.
Australia's so
It's a
sick.
25-hour flight. It's fucked.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited.
Australia's
like,
so sick.
yeah, and
dude.
we're
It
like
is.
we're flying economy for 25 hours. It's gonna
I've
suck ass.
flown economy to Australia.
Same. I've
What
only
was it like?
flown.
It fucking sucked.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
It
because like
really
6
fucking
hours from
sucked.
coming to DC to LA sucks. And like my wife's from Turkey. We go to Turkey every summer. That's a 12-hour flight. That sucks. Like 25 hours is gonna be brutal.
For sure.
And I was just like, we were booking the flights. They're so expensive. I was like, we're doing the cheapest option for sure.
Oh yeah,
you know?
yeah. I always felt the cheapest option.
Especially because when you go overseas for the first time, you don't get paid shit.
Right.
They don't know if you're gonna sell tickets, so they don't want to like give you a guarantee. That's and then you don't sell any tickets and they don't make any money.
Yeah.
Like they didn't.
Is she coming with you?
Yeah, she's my
Oh,
photographer
dope.
and my videographer. Like she took that picture. She took that picture.
I love
She-
that
I was
you
gonna
guys
say
are
your
like a
shit looks
team.
so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sick.
that's
Yeah.
all her vision. She made the album cover, made the ad mat. She's a visually and like she's a creative genius.
Wow.
And she's the first and the last person to hear every song before it
Wow.
comes out. Like she is such a genius when it comes to this shit.
Wow.
And like she's to me she's the ultimate opinion. So she comes with me for everything.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like this is the only time we've been apart in 5 years was when I
Wow.
came here. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you have to bring her
We
next
do
time.
everything together. She's my best friend. We're
Oh, you
attached at
should
the
have
hip.
told us and we would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It was like 2 days.
For
We got
sure.
pets at home. Like my dog's epileptic.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Okay.
Oh,
pain in the
yeah.
ass to get pet sitting, and we were just like, oh, like we need to just man up and like be adults. So many
Yeah.
couples spend time apart. Like what the hell? You know
Oh
what
my
mean?
god, I
Like,
love that this was even a conversation.
yeah, it was totally.
You know
a
what I mean? Like I
conversation.
just love that.
How
She was
long
like,
have
"Are
you
you
guys
sure you
been
don't want to
married
come?" And I was
for?
like, "Are you sure you don't want me? Like, you don't want to come with me?" And she was like, "Are you sure you don't want me to come with you?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "I think it's okay. Like, I'll be a couple days. You know what I mean? Like, I think."
Oh my God,
I was like,
love
"I think
this.
we'll make it." And like when we were saying goodbye, I was so emotional. Like we were so sad. You know.
Oh my
I left the apartment and came back in like 3 times. Like.
Aw.
Oh my
You know,
god.
I'm
yeah.
like I'm like stupid in love.
Yeah.
And it's been like that since I was 14.
Wow.
And I'm really grateful.
When did you guys
Yeah.
get married?
When we were in 2021, February 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
We got married in our apartment during the pandemic. It was actually so funny because like during the pandemic in DC, we were allowed to get married online.
Yeah.
And so she like started filling out the application, like so much fun. And she was like, "Oh, Jack, I just need like your electronic signature." And I was like, "Okay." Did that. I thought we were just like applying to like be able to get married.
Yeah.
And she was like, no,
And she and like she thought that too. And like she like clicked continue and it was like congratulations.
You're
and I was like
married.
cooking dinner and she was like, "Jack, we're married." And I was like, holy fuck. We went and got
love
sushi.
that.
Like I stopped cooking dinner. We went and got sushi and like celebrated. It was amazing.
Oh, that's.
I
so
feel like
cool.
there's every time you talk, it's like lyrics for your future songs.
Yeah, dude.
Like you could be
Yeah.
like, I got married during COVID, fucking in my apartment.
Yeah, bro.
I overdosed on fentanyl when I was born.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
fire.
Fentanyl
Yeah.
Baby. That'd be a funny song name.
Fentanyl
Or an
Baby.
album name.
Yeah.
Fentanyl Baby.
Yeah. Fuck man.
Yeah, man. Like my life today is beyond my wildest dreams. And there's like certain things that I do today and that I say today that I would like balk at, 5 years ago.
For sure.
But it's like I just had such a skewed idea of what was cool and what wasn't. And, I'm like grateful that those ideas have changed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
It's amazing, man. What a great story.
Why do you think so many musicians suffer from addiction?
Because so many musicians are obsessive. I think to like be somebody who wants to do this as a career, it's a tough career. Like it's really consuming. It takes a lot away. You know what I mean? Like it's very rewarding, but like the time and effort that you put into it is, it's like you just barely break even most of the time.
Yeah.
You got to be obsessive to do something like this. And like drug addicts are obsessive.
Mhm.
I also think like it's hard to write songs sober. It's hard to learn to write songs sober.
Mm.
And the best way to like figure out like how am I going to write my first song?
What was that process like for you?
For me, like I think like writing songs is like the closest I've ever been to God.
Mm.
Like I believe that like I believe in this place called the Vault. there's like different words. My mother-in-law calls it the collective consciousness. She believes in it too. And I believe that like every idea that's ever been had or ever will be had
comes from there.
And they all exist simultaneously there. Like everything past, present, and future exists there. Every math formula, every idea for technology, every song, every business idea, it all exists there. And like,
that's fire.
if you can get to the place where you can like pull something from there, that's where a song comes from. That's where a good song comes from.
Right.
I'm not saying that every song comes from there, because sometimes I write a song and I know that it was my own idea and it's garbage. You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
from the vault.
Those songs never see the light of day. You
So
know?
those stay
But
in
when
your
I write a
vault.
song and I get that connection, I swear to God, like the song that we were listening to before this,
It hits.
front to back, 10 minutes.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Writing,
immediate.
it's done. You know?
Yeah.
All the songs that come out, there's never like months and months of writing, right? It's like, you know,
Maybe months of waiting.
it's months of waiting, you know what I mean? Or
access.
sometimes I'll write like the first half of a
Right.
song and then I won't be able to finish it and I'll wait 6 months and then I'll write the second half and like combined time 10 minutes. It's so quick. Morbid Mind I wrote in like maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
Wow.
Wow.
Like I found the chord progression and I just like wrote the lyrics and it was done.
Wow.
It's so quick. And so I'm like, that's not me, that's not my idea. Anybody could write it. I feel like I just found a penny on the street, you know? I was just the one that was looking down at the ground and picked it up, right? Anybody else, like I could have not looked and anybody else could have walked past and picked that one up.
Yeah. So since getting sober, what was your process of accessing the vault?
It's the same thing now. Like, you know, I just like, actually, no, I mean, now it's like weird, dude. I'll just like be laying in bed or playing a video game or something and I'll just like, something will just cross my mind and I'll be like, oh, fuck. Like most recently, what did I think? Like, I think I wrote a song in 10 minutes the other day and it was just like, I was like sitting in my room, like kind of bothered about something. And I just like had this line come into my head and I was like, oh fuck, like I'm going to go write that down just like to remember it.
Yeah.
And then I like wrote it down and then I just wrote the rest of the song right there.
Wow.
It's what it's like every time. Anytime I write a good song, it's like that.
So
So
it's
I
like-
believe that it's not me. It's something bigger than me.
It's inspired thought.
Yeah, it's very inspired thought. Yeah.
And you can't predict it and you can't force
Can't predict it, can't force it. I never write songs in rooms with other people. It's always by myself. I'll produce with other people and like
it. Yeah.
have musicians come in and play parts that I'm not good enough to play, like on bass or on drums. My little brother plays the bass. I have a friend that plays drums. But like I write all my songs alone on an acoustic guitar in my home studio,
Right.
like on a little notebook. They're all there.
It's dope.
That's what it's about. That's what I love to do.
Love it,
Are
man.
you happy today?
Yeah, I think I am. Yeah. I don't think I'm happy. I think I'm like pretty joyful. I'm like serene. You know?
Peaceful.
I have
at
serenity.
peace,
Yeah.
Super sober.
You know, like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm unhappy, you know? Sometimes I really live like in that restlessness, irritability, discontent. Like that defines some days for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I react to it so differently. And that's what gives me a life that like inspires serenity and inspires joy. And like even in times that are really stressful and really hard, I'm able to like figure out like how can I get back to feeling good right now
Right.
and like actually feeling good. It's not some like synthetically, you know, some like chemical that I put into my body to make myself feel that way. I know ways to actually feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Authentically.
Yeah, part of that is just not living a lie. Like,
Yeah.
Being honest.
yeah, I am who I am. I'm honest about it. I'm not ashamed of who I am anymore.
Mhm.
Right? So like generally I'm pretty happy.
Love that.
It's hard not to be, you know, like,
Yeah.
look at, like
I can be.
you
and then I
guys
have to
flew me
look at
out
my
here.
life.
I'm
Yeah.
staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
Like there's a pool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, like had free breakfast today.
We did.
Yeah.
Good
That
times.
breakfast wasn't bad either.
It was not bad. I had
today
a
was
waffle
good.
and some kielbasa.
Dude, I
like,
haven't had the waffles yet. They
you should get the
looked-
malted vanilla
I always
one. It
come
was
down like
so
half
good.
asleep, and I just go right to the eggs because there are. I don't like feel
Pre-made.
like
Yeah,
the
pour
waffles.
the-
I gotta
yeah,
just
yeah.
sit there and do the whole
Turn
thing. But
the
I'm gonna
thing.
do it before I leave.
Yeah.
Because they smell so good, and I see
Yeah.
other people. They have whipped cream. They have like whipped cream and sprinkles and all this shit there. They have like a whole
You
waffle.
better tell Jenna to keep booking you there.
Dude, I really like.
Except
I love
yesterday-
Hampton Inns, dude. They're nice.
Yeah.
Yesterday was soggy bagels.
Yeah, yesterday was a weird. But,
Why
but
would
the
you eat a
rest
bagel?
Of it was good. No, they had these bagels in the thing where the eggs are, and they had
got
cheese
steamed
and
out.
little bits of
Ugh.
bacon on them, and then because of the steam and the heat, they were like
They got like
soggy.
all wet.
Yeah.
Ew, that's fucking gross.
Yeah, but I just got like a shit ton of bacon. They had those bagel things, bacon, and then something else, and I got. I'm not picky with food.
Yeah,
I will
neither am
literally
I.
eat. Yeah.
Especially if it's
I
breakfast.
will
I'm
eat
like,
things
fuck
off
it.
the ground. I've done way far worse for my body. So
I'm just thinking about what you said. Like, I think I'm in a place because you asked if I'm happy, and I talked about like my present situation.
Yeah.
I want to take that back. I think I'm in a place where no matter what my present situation was, if I did the things that I do spiritually, like I would be fine.
Yeah.
If I continue to go to meetings and like stay in contact with the people from the program and like maintain my relationships, that's what makes me happy today. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Love that.
If I really think about it.
No, it's
We're all connected to the same phone system.
Oh, okay. 'cause
Oh wow, so fancy.
Yeah.
yeah.
In case somebody calls and needs help. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
of course.
We all see it at the same time.
Yeah. There's always somebody on the line for him.
Always.
That's so cool.
Always.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fucking great community.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Are you guys happy today?
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
Yeah. Are you grateful?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Very
What do you think about gratitude?
I fucking love gratitude. I think
Yeah?
it's essential, or I can get really.
What is like gratitude to you? What does it mean?
For me, I mean, I do gratitude lists often because
Okay.
I do get in certain places where I'll be like, because my brain still has a lot of thoughts sometimes where I will get like, I will not be grateful. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden I'm like, this ain't enough. And I deserve this. And this
Yeah.
fucking sucks and whatever else. So I'm very avid in doing gratitude lists preferably every morning when I wake up, so I don't get in a headspace of like
Yeah.
entitlement and selfishness and greed. And every morning I'm just like, I ask my God, I'm like, hey God, help me not be a piece of shit, help me stay in gratitude and connection and service. Thank you.
That's great.
And my day goes completely different when I don't do
So
those
different.
things.
Yeah.
I can get really sickly pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck a lot of shit up real quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
When I think of gratitude, I think of it in kind of two ways. I think one is like gratitude for me is an anchor, right? So
Ooh.
like in the sense of, because I have a lot of hard days,
Of course.
it's like,
Stressful, probably.
yeah, and not like a sort of poor me victim sort of thing, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people to take care of, and there's huge payrolls, and
I bet.
there's 3 separate companies that I'm in charge of.
Yep.
And it can be a lot. And when I'm in places where I feel like I'm not getting sleep, you know what I mean? And I'm waking up every hour thinking about numbers and trying to do math that I just don't need to do. I think about how grateful I am for just all of that. Right?
Okay, I see what you mean by an anchor.
It's an anchor for me.
Keeps
Like,
you where you are.
this shit's going on. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, I have to make payroll. I have to do this. I have to pay this bill. There's this employee who's not doing what I want him to do. There's
You have to. No, you get to.
That's right.
Yeah.
I get into that state, and then I'm like, dude, February 7th of 2017, I had track marks down my neck, my arms, my legs, my feet, my hands, 120 pounds, right? My mom's picking me up. I was stealing granola from Whole Foods in West Hollywood to feed myself, and I had a phone, you know what I mean? I had a wallet with no money, and I had an EBT card, and I'm sitting in the kitchen at 4 a.m. at a sober house and praying and meditating. And in my mind, all I wanted was this huge life, right? and I'm like trying to visualize it and like, you know, doing all this shit. And then I have this huge life. And then I'm like being a victim to this huge life.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Right. And so like the gratitude for me is like this anchor, which is like when life seems like it's too much, I'm like, this is everything I was praying for. Right.
It's crazy because sobriety will give you such a big fat life.
Yeah.
And if
And
you
then you're
don't
like,
use
whoa.
if you don't use the tools that you learn in the program,
Yeah.
it'll be just as unmanageable as it
Yeah.
was when
For
it
sure.
was small.
Or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, way
Or more.
worse. Yeah,
And then
it'll crash and burn.
yeah. So that's one, I think it's an anchor. And then two, I think it's an action, right? It's like I show up for my sponsee, right? I show up for my commitments, right? I show up for the people that work for me.
Yeah, if you're not actively maintaining what you're grateful for, you'll very quickly not be grateful for it anymore.
Right.
Right. It's an action in so much. I feel like so much of the program, right, is action based, right? I can't think my way into
All the time, yeah.
you know, right action, but I can act my way into right thinking. And so, you know, I'm showing up to the bonfire. Right?
Yeah.
It's like that meeting has run for almost 8 years every Thursday, no matter fucking what, dude. Like,
Yeah.
those trains will run on time, right? And I will make sure that food is provided. I will make sure that the chairs are set up correctly. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm, you know what I mean, out of town. I am like, we have bonfire group chats that I set up, and I am on everybody, and I'm checking the cameras. I've got a Monday morning service commitment, right? It's like, these things is where I show up, and like gratitude's the action, and I show up and I do these things, and then I feel great.
Gratitude without action is just a well-meaning thought.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well-meaning thoughts didn't get me anywhere.
Never.
Right.
That's
They
what my
didn't get me
sponsor
anywhere.
always says.
Yeah.
So real.
Yeah. But it's what you talked about living by principle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? It's like living by principle is hard, right? In the sense that, like, in a lot of ways, it forces me to have to do things and show up in ways that in the moment I don't feel like doing.
Right.
Yeah, of
And
course.
they're not
you know?
like natural to
But those
you
things that you
like
don't
work
feel
to
like
do
doing,
them.
the inconvenient shit, that's what really works.
It does.
It's what brings happiness and joy.
I'm doing a
Right.
night watch service position right now on Saturdays from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is like the calls from the AA headquarters in DC get
Get
transferred
routed
to
to
my
you.
phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh,
And I
love
have to get out of
that.
bed and take the call. And like sometimes it's like, you know, sometimes it's somebody looking for a meeting. Sometimes it's a drunk guy that wants to argue about the, you know, the principles of the program. And like, I'm there for that. And like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But like, I wake up the next morning on like, you know, maybe I might not get much sleep, but like, I feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I know that I did good shit last night. And like,
Yeah.
it's not service if it's convenient.
I was having this conversation
True.
the other day about like, it's like, okay, so drugs is this really interesting thing where like, I feel like everything has a payoff and a cost, right? So there's a payoff and a cost to everything.
Yeah.
You do a lot of heroin, you're going to feel really good. There's a upfront payoff.
Yeah.
And then when you stop, you're going to be in a lot of pain, right? And that's the back end cost.
Yeah. Totally.
Right. And I feel like all things that are super addictive and like really not great for us spiritually have an upfront payoff and a cost on the back end.
Yeah.
And the things that are really good for me seem to have an upfront
Opposite,
cost
yeah.
100%.
and a back end payoff.
Yes. My sponsor always says like you have the choice. Like you always have a choice.
Yeah.
Every year around tax season, I start to get really fucking like, oh,
Taxes
It's
are
getting weird.
scary.
I can't believe I have to pay taxes. And my
Scary.
sponsor is always like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
He's like, you could not pay them. You know,
Yeah.
what's the like? He's like, you just have to be ready for the consequences,
Right.
whatever that may be. Like,
Yeah.
you can make any choice you want in life. You can do
Yeah.
anything as long as you're okay with the consequences.
Yeah.
That's, I think, what you're talking about.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. If you, I feel like it's this,
And
this
it's like
weird-
really obvious there because like in that sense, like there actually is an upfront cost, like an actual financial
for
cost,
sure.
and like
Yeah.
a back end payoff of like peace of mind that like the
Right.
IRS isn't
Yeah.
gonna take my house.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you're an upstanding, member of society.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I
Right.
ride on a bike lane, I know that I paid for that bike lane. and
Yeah,
I
I'm
get to ride
contributing to the
it, you know?
streets and the cleaners and the fucking, you know what I mean? The lights. Like,
For sure. Wait, so I know we're running out of time. I just want to know like what gratitude means to you.
Yeah, for me, it's something that I definitely practice every day, and it's almost like a gratitude list. But It's in my prayer every morning. I'm like, God, thank you for reminding me of, what I have to be grateful for. And, I pray for literally every single person in my life, my parents, my kids, my girlfriend. And then also I practice this through praying for people that I'm frustrated with.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Have to.
Angry with or have a resentment toward or whatever. Like my ex, I often pray for her, and I'm just grateful for the ability to be able to support her and support my son in the way that I do. And yeah, it's kind of how I practice
Hell
my
yeah,
gratitude.
Hunty.
Yeah,
A little 4-step prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I don't pray in that way every single day, I feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
The rest
yeah.
of my day is affected. And then I'll start to be like, yeah, fuck them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it adds up when I don't do that.
Yeah, it's like piles on every single day.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's so crazy the difference between like doing the little things, because I know for me, like you said, like just like inconvenient, like I don't want to do this. But these tiny things make such a difference. And really, like, what does it take? Fucking 5-10 minutes in the
5-10
morning
minutes in the morning
to just like have a good day. But there's some days when I wake up and it's the last thing I want to fucking do.
Yeah.
And the days that I don't do that, I'm miserable the whole entire day.
Yeah.
But it's
Such
my
a
brain
small
will still
change,
sometimes. I'm 6.5
and
years
it has
in.
such a big outcome at the end of the day.
Yeah.
For sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, that morning meditation, that morning prayer is like so essential, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll go through a week or two where I don't do it, and like, man, I start to be really, really unhappy.
Yeah.
Like, and I start to it's not even like, I start to feel really, really unhappy. Like, everybody around me suddenly is really
Sucks.
unhappy and they suck.
Yeah,
and
everyone
it's
sucks.
yeah, like suddenly people are unhappy with me and I don't understand why. And it's like, because I'm acting like a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we step on the toes of our fellows, and when they retaliate, we're
They're like, what the hell?
yeah, we're baffled, confused,
And we're all up in the
victim,
malady, and
you
then
know,
it just shit gets,
yeah, we're funky.
Yeah.
We're just we've been pickled. We've been pickled.
No, totally. You can't unpickle a brain, right?
No, dude, we've been pickled, man. We went too far.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, fire.
Fuck,
Well,
man.
thank you for coming.
No,
Yeah,
you
thanks
guys,
so
I'm
much.
so grateful that I got to do this. Thank you so much.
Before we end, what's your favorite song that's out right now?
Oh fuck, it's so hard. Like right now, when is this gonna come out?
Few weeks.
Three Sundays from now.
3 Sundays from now. Oh man, it won't be out by then. Because my album comes out on November 22nd.
We could push it.
We
We
can-
could
So
push
I'm
it.
like trying to think.
Yeah, we can arrange
4
to
Sundays from now.
do it after.
What would that be?
Yeah, it comes out on November 22nd. And if it's out by then, my favorite song will be this song called My Promise,
Okay.
parentheses 90 days. It's about my friend Sam who passed away from an overdose. And
That's the song you've been kind of like talking about recently.
Yeah, we posted like a flyer or like a notes app thing and asked people for submissions to send in like photos of their loved ones who have passed away.
Wow.
And we made it a music video that's just like a slideshow of like hundreds of people who died from their addictions.
Wow.
It's completely sourced, and it's not even, we're calling it a memorial video, and we're aligning it with like a charity and people can donate.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. I can show you guys the video after this if you want to see it. It's a
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
watch, but like
Yeah.
that's I think, and Travis Barker played drums on the song. That is my favorite piece of anything I've ever made. I think it's the most influential and most impactful thing I'll ever make in my entire life.
Should we play it and then we won't release this episode until after?
Yeah, we can do
You
that.
down to do that? You
Yeah.
guys cool with that? Remember that? We'll timestamp this here. Just we don't release this episode until.
somewhere that you want to play it now.
Oh, like it's supposed to play like after this?
Yeah. Like we could do it.
I can airdrop you like the Vimeo link if you want, and we can play the
just
video
play it
on the
right-
screen.
Oh yeah. That'd be sick.
Would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Let me see.
And then what we can do is we can also put the links to the foundation or any of the stuff after it all comes out.
Yeah. That'd be really,
right
really
on
great.
the video. You know what I mean?
We could also close the podcast with the video.
Oh, you know what's fire?
Right.
You said the 22nd. We need to drop this episode on the 24th of November, which is 2 days after.
That's
that
perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And this was put together by my wife.
Turn the volume up on the laptop and bring the laptop up here so it's near one of the mics.
So that's my buddy Sam right there. And his daughter. They're actually at his second kid's gender reveal party in this video.
Did he pass before?
He passed before she was born.
When she was while she was pregnant?
Yeah, she was pregnant at his funeral. It was so heavy. And then they found out he had another kid. Like they found, like they discovered he died 6 years ago. They discovered that he had another kid that didn't know him. Like a year ago, they found out, or probably less than a year ago. Insane.
We're going.
Let's do it.
Still think about when you messaged me. You were still here, we were 17. 90 days sober, you asked to come over, never replied, and it's killing me. Still think about when you messaged me. Still think about what it could have been. If I replied, would it be different? All these years later, I'm still afraid of letting you go. Is it all my fault? Still think about what it could have been. I made a promise to stay clean and sober because of you. Save space for me next to you. Wherever you're waiting, I'll come to you. When it all falls down and the noise gets loud, I'll remember your lost face, smiling and crying at the same time. Pray that you found grace, and if you're in pain, it's the last time.
Happy birthday, dear baby son. Happy birthday.
Spoke to your brother the other week. November 3rd made it past 23. He smiles just like you, always the type to carry the light into any room. Spoke to your brother the other week. I made a promise to stay clean and sober because of you.
God damn.
It's fucking really good, man.
It's just
Also,
like you
I
see.
knew someone out there.
Really?
Matthew Littlefield. I knew him from Austin.
Fuck. I mean, yeah, you just like watch that and it's like, I think it's so easy to look at somebody who overdoses and just see them as just an addict or as just an obituary. And like, you see these people with their families, with their passions, with their dogs, and it's like,
It's beautiful, man.
it's fucking heavy.
That's gonna do some shit.
Yeah.
We're all just gonna be crying.
If I've seen it like fucking 25 times and it fucking makes me cry every time. It's just so heavy.
Mhm.
And like, dude, it touches fucking everybody.
Yeah.
We all know somebody. We either are or we know somebody, right? I don't know a fucking single person who doesn't know like what it's like to know an addict.
Right.
It's just like there needs to be like more like awareness and acceptance. And I think I'm sorry for like going way over time right now.
No, you're good.
Like I'd speak to it. Me and his brother are really close now, especially in the past couple of years. We've like gotten really close. I talk about it in the song. He was like, dude, I meet people and we form relationships and I feel ashamed at first to tell them about like my brother and that he died. And then like, you know, we get to the point where like I've known them for so long and it's like I haven't told them still and it becomes weird. And it's like there's people that have been in my life for 5 years that still don't know that my brother died because I'm like ashamed
Right.
that my brother was an addict. And like, you know, the past couple of years of an addict's life usually are not like beautiful. They're not characterized by like pretty things. Like a lot of us rob, cheat, and steal, you know what I mean? And it's like, you don't like, it's hard to be proud of that. And it's just like this fucking disease, dude, just turns people into like, you know, turns you into something you're not.
Right.
It makes it really difficult for people to remember you for what you are.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like, I just really hope that people can watch that and like, sorry, just like see past the disease. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, thanks for having me today.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're all crying. Thank you so much for coming today.
Yeah.
This
I
was-
really appreciate you guys. I'm really grateful.
Yeah, I hope we can help promote that.
I think this was the first time
hope we
we
can
had
help push
all
that.
4 people crying at the same time.
Yeah.
I've never seen RJ cry.
If you like watch that and it doesn't like fucking like give you some kind of emotional reaction, I don't know what's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just like
Yeah.
it's so heavy.
Mhm.
It's super heavy, and I'm just like grateful to be able to.
But the mission is beautiful, you know?
It's the mission. I'm grateful to be able to like be somebody who can tell this story. You know what I mean? Like I'm so grateful to be an addict and to be an alcoholic because like it gave me purpose in life and it gave
Right.
me like this community. It gave me a connection to you guys, you know, like I mean, you guys, I feel like I've known you forever. Like that's fucking most people don't get that. Like
Right.
feel
When we
bad
get
for my I
together,
feel bad
yeah.
for my wife because she's not an alcoholic, like honestly, because like
Yeah.
she goes through some stuff and it's like she doesn't have a community of people that like understand what that's like we're so fucking blessed, you know.
Right.
I'm blessed to be an addict because it gave me what I have today, and I wouldn't have what I had today if like it wasn't for that. I want to be able to tell this story. I wouldn't have a mission. I wouldn't feel like I have a purpose.
Right.
It's beautiful.
It's amazing. Well, thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah,
No, thank
thanks
you.
so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Jack
Right.
Case. Follow
Jack
him.
Case.
Listen to his music. Subscribe.
Icon.
Donate. Be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Right.
you.